Okay, so this is 13.7, the last section of the book. We are looking at solving quadratic equations, and we're applying them to word problems. So, if the square of two consecutive integers are added, the result is 61. Find the integers. What are we going to name our integers first? Boeing.
X and X.
Okay, first integer is x, the second integer is x plus 1. Knowing that, it says if the square of two consecutive integers are added. How am I going to show that as an equation? The square of two consecutive integers. Square of two consecutive integers. All right, so what are we doing? How do I write that out as an equation? Patrick.
So it's x plus 1 squared. This is 1, right?
No, close. Andy?
Oh, rad x.
No, not rad, it's squared.
X plus 1 squared.
That's what he just said. Yes, correct yourself.
So it's x squared plus x plus 1 squared.
Yes, x squared plus x plus 1 squared. Okay, and then we have to FOIL it or double distribute. So when I'm doing x plus 1, that's x plus 1 times x plus 1, so it's x squared plus 2x plus 1 equals 61. And then I'm going to combine my like terms and subtract 61. So we get we can divide both sides by 2. And now what? Now what? Anybody? I got one for later for you. Daniel?
Oh.
Yeah.
X plus 6 times x minus 1.
Plus 6 and minus 5? Okay, so he's saying what multiplies to negative 30 adds to 1 is positive 6 and positive 6, negative 5. And when I solve those, I get negative 6. Now, here's where the meaning happens, where the details of the problem. What is my solution? What am I putting in my answer column? Boeing.
Well, you substitute x with negative 6 for the first integer.
So if x is negative 6, what would be the next one be?
Negative 5.
Negative 5. Okay. Am I done?
And also for the other one.
Or when x is 5, right? 5 plus 1 is 6. So in your answer column, you really need negative 6, negative 5, or 5 and 6. That's question number 1, word problem. Questions? Okay. So 2 solutions. 4 solutions. We're putting 4 in. Remember, it's, oops, I'd write it like this. Negative 6, negative 5, 5. You would put a semicolon in between because they're not the same. They're not 4 consecutive. Okay? Yes, questions? Okay, next one. All right, so area of a rectangle is 30 units less than area of a triangle. So I'm going to write that out in words. Okay? Area of rectangle is my equal sign, 30, right? We've got area here is 30 less than area of triangle. Did you understand how we got that? What's the formula for area of a rectangle? Lucas? Length times width. Caleb? Triangle? Get present, please. Formula.
Half of the image.
Half base times height minus 30. Now I can substitute x times x plus 4 equals 1/2 4x plus 6 times the height, which is 8x. So now I'm double distributing x squared minus 30. Good, sorry. Okay, x squared minus 4x equals This, when I distribute here, it becomes 2x. When I distribute here, it becomes 3 plus 3. But the whole thing is multiplied by x. So I'm getting 2x squared plus 3x minus 30. I'm going to subtract from both sides. Minus 4x minus x squared minus 4x minus x squared. And we end up with, oops, we end up with 0 equals x squared plus minus x minus 30. Okay, questions? And now what multiplies to negative 30 and adds to negative 1? Yep. Positive 5, negative 6. So we're doing x plus 5 times x minus 6 equals 0. X is equal to negative 5. X is equal to 6. Which one is a bad answer? Negative 5, because distance can't be negative. Michelle, do you mind? Why don't you take once you move back, because I don't know what's going on, but I know math's not going on. Okay. Guys, I can't make you do this at the end of the semester. I'm tired too. We're all tired. But you've got to bring your focus level not next to somebody else that talks. Back row. You've got to get your head in the game. Okay, questions on that one? Okay. The picture question. Do you guys remember this? Okay, was it hard before? Okay, good. So you know how to do it? Why don't you guys do it? Pause it. Let's say the picture frame, we're going to call it X. Go from there. All right, we know the dimensions all the way around are X. So if that's the case, I know how much the whole thing is, and I know that this part right here is X, and this is X, and the whole thing is 30, so how much is the little part? How much is that little part? 30 minus 2x. So this yellow part is 30 minus 2x, and we're going to call that the length because it's the longer piece. Okay, 30 minus 2x. What would the width be? Knowing the same thing, Justin. 20 minus 2x. Okay, so now we know our area formula is length times width equals area. We're just going to substitute in. The length is 30 minus 2x times the quantity of 20 minus 2x equals 416. Double distribute, and you should get this. Subtract 416 from both sides. And now I'm just going to move it around in standard form. Divide 4 on both sides. And I get x squared minus 25x plus 46 equals 0. So now what? What multiplies to 46 and adds to negative 25? There's only 2 factors. There's 4 factors. 1, 46, and Andy? Negative 23 and 2. And so my solution is 2 or 23. Now they're both positive. They both may work. How do we figure out the correct one? Let's go with Daniel. I haven't heard from you today.
Since 23 is greater than 20, it's an extraneous solution.
Right, because if I were to, well, think about it. If what we're looking for is x, just this little measurement in here. Okay, so if x equals 23, then how can this little space be 23 and the width that's much bigger is 20? Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's why it's extraneous. Okay, questions? Yes?
In the beginning, you could have factored out a 2 from each factor and divided by 4 to avoid working with 2.
With such big numbers, you're right. You're right. Okay. Okay, so if x is 2, we substitute it in, we get 26 and 16, and 23 is just not a viable solution. Also, when you substitute it in, it gives you a negative answer at one point. 2 times 23 is 46, and so 30 minus 46 will give you negatives. Okay? All right, do you guys remember how to do these kind of problems from chapter 11? Hypotenuse of a right triangle. I'm going to draw the triangle. How do I label this triangle, Trent?
So the hypotenuse would be 20.
20. And what am I labeling the other two sides?
X and X plus 4.
X and X plus 4. You guys with me? Okay, so now what am I doing to solve this? Go, Olivier.
You do x plus 4, the quantity of that squared.
Tell me what method I'm going to use. I'm going to use the Pythagorean theorem because I'm looking for a side length. And so I substitute it in to a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And now I have x squared. How do I multiply that out? What does it become? X squared plus 8x plus 16. Good. Combine our like terms and subtract 400. Divide both sides by 2. And then we factor. The two factors are 12 and 16. I'm not sure how I knew that, but I did know it early. I knew it earlier, and I'm probably because I've done this so many times in 192. But I knew that 12 went into it. I just wasn't sure if it was 12 times 14. So I kind of started with that. It's pretty close to 14 squared, so I would have stuck close to 14. All right. So what is the best answer? Make sense of it. Patrick. 12, because measurement can't be negative. So one leg is 12 and the other is 16. Are there any questions? I'm going through it quickly. I've got two more. Okay, this is a good one. Pay close attention. Find the dimensions of a rectangle whose perimeter is 38 and area is 84. So, let's name two sides. Okay, let's name the sides. First thing I'm going to do, if the rectangle's perimeter all the way around is 38, what if we only have half of a rectangle? What's the perimeter? What would half the perimeter, if the perimeter here is 38, what's half the perimeter? 19, right? So what we're saying is this side plus this side is 19. Are you with me? Yeah. Okay, if they're 19, but we don't know how much the sides are. So let's call the first side what? X. We don't know something, we call it X. Now if that's X and the whole thing is 19, what are we calling the other side?
19 minus X.
Exactly. So now what I have is 19 minus X, right? Now what we have is two sides and an area. X, what's the area formula for a rectangle? X side times, or length times width equals area. And we have to substitute X times 19 minus X. Quantity is equal to what? 84. And then we distribute and set it all equal to 0. And now what multiplies? 7 and 12. Negative 7, negative 12 makes negative 19. Okay, so my solutions are 7 and 12. Now we have to decide what is the correct answer. A measurement can't have two measurements. Lucas, what are your thoughts? What's the correct answer?
No, 7.
Why not 12?
Because then the longer side would be shorter.
Perfect. Did you hear him? because this longer side is coming up to be 7 units or 7 inches. So, and this shorter side is 12. Questions? Yeah.
You could also use the system equations by setting y equals to a.
Y equal to a negative.
No, y equals the length.
Setting y equal to the length.
And then you could do x plus y equals 38. It's the same thing, but I mean.
X plus y equals 38. Oh.
X plus y is 19, so.
Oh, okay. X plus y equals 19, which is basically the same thing. Yeah. Yes, Ellen. Okay, well, we didn't know. Let's just go back really quick. I've got one more problem after this, I believe. We didn't know what the width was. All we know is this plus this plus this plus this equal 38. Right? So, if that's the case, what if I just took 2 of the sides? Half of it. Isn't this plus this 19? Okay, so half of the perimeter is equal to 19. Right? Now, if half the perimeter is 18, I don't know what to call this. Half the perimeter is 19. I don't know what to call this. I call it x. Then what is this going to be? It's the total minus the part. Does that make sense? So it's 19 minus x. I don't know what it is, but we're giving it a name. And that's how I got those dimensions. Are you guys good with that? All right, last one is I think this is the last one, please. Okay, traveling. A boat traveling 12 miles upstream and back again. That's easy. Upstream and back. What does that tell us about the distance? Same. So make our box. Distance equals rate times time. Rate times time equals distance. Doesn't matter which way you go. We're going upstream and downstream. Which one's slower, guys?
Upstream.
Yeah, because you're going against the water. What's faster?
Downstream.
Because it's pushing you. Okay, where does the 12 go? Where does 12 go? Yep. Distance. Both ways, going there and back. Okay? The rate. It says if the rate of the current is 2 miles per hour, not the rate that that the boat is traveling, just the water. So how am I going to show the rate? Yep.
For upstream, you could do -2.
How? No, you're close. Sean?
X minus 2.
Okay, or let's call it R minus 2. So the rate of the boat minus 2 miles per hour from the water. How am I showing downstream?
Rate plus 2.
R plus 2. Now, isn't distance equals rate times time, right? If we're looking for time, isn't that the same as time equals distance over rate? So what am I going to put in for the time? The only thing we know is that together, you with me? Together, it's what? 16/5 or 3 1/5. So what am I putting in for? Yep.
12 over r minus 2 for upstream.
12 over r minus 2 and 12 over r plus 2. And there is my equation. Is this seeming any easier by now?
Yeah.
Seemed almost impossible a couple months ago, didn't it?
No.
You looked at me like I was the most evil teacher in the world and how could I throw a problem like this? But now it is doable. Okay, so what would I do now? Patrick.
So, we multiply by 5 times r minus 2 times r plus 2.
Correct. And then we're going to cross cancel. Shh. I'm going to simplify. And now I have a quadratic. I have multiple methods to choose from. I can either do lead coefficient factoring, or we can do the quadratic formula, or solve by completing the square. When I finally get my answer, can time be negative?
No.
Speed be negative? But wait, stop.
Victoria
Make sure.
Monroy, please come to the attendance office.
Shh.
Victoria Monroy, please come to the attendance office.
Make sure that what you find is what it's asking for, because they might be asking for time up here. Do you understand? Yes. Always go back and check that question. That's the video.